Hi everyone.
Hi guys.
Lovely to see you again. Welcome back. We love kind of catching up, don't we? And it's been not very long since our last video, but you know it's been a while generally. So we're glad to be back in the loft together.
Yeah.
And we thought we'd talk about a house again, a new house that I certainly have never ever really come across. Dan has had some time with them. Again, it's
a little
new
bit,
one for
yeah.
me.
So it's a little while since we've done a sort of house overview.
Yeah.
So this was a house. I actually bought the samples earlier in the summer. So we're talking about Eris or Eris. I think Eris.
Yeah. We're not sure, but Eris sounds nice.
But they came to my attention for a few reasons. One was that for my birthday, I got this book, Scent
cool. and
Subversion by Barbara Herrmann, in which she talks about fragrances in the 20th century with a real kind of focus on their kind of sexy and the kind of raunchy side of fragrances.
And it's not a novel. I mean, you could mistake it for a novel when you look at the front cover, like a sort of 50 Shades of Grey type of thing.
No,
it's not at all.
It is a guide to fragrances, and as you see there, you've got
no
fragrance names and dates, and only a little bit of filth. Actually, I have to say one of my favourite bits is some of the essays at the back of the book. Anyway, we're not...
I'm going to read that. I'm looking forward
book.
to it.
So she is... she's the brand kind of owner, and she's the brains behind Eris Parfums. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to explore the house. Another reason was another person is Antoine Lee,
who's a great perfumer. I mean,
he's a perfumer. Yeah. We're not really talking about that many of his fragrances.
No,
maybe Rien by Italy.
One of the early favourites, I have to say, of ours, wasn't it?
Which I think kind of conceptually has quite a lot in common with some of these fragrances, but he's just a really interesting perfumer. And then the other one was the reason I guess why we're able to now sample these is because they're now available in the UK through a new company called Sainte Cellier, set up by a woman called Brooke, who we kind of know.
We've met over the years
a little bit. So she worked in Bloom Perfume, which is a perfume shop in London. She's worked for 4160 Tuesdays.
Nice lady.
She set up a company, a kind of niche fragrance subscription company called Drop the Hoo. Is it Drop the Hoo-Ha? Drop the Hoo-Ha, yeah.
Drop the Hoo-Ha.
She's also what's her name? B-Girl Rhapsody on Instagram, and yeah, she's now set up this company called Sainte Cellier, which is obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but the name refers to Germaine Cellier, very master perfumer. Fragrances for Balmain and some of the greatest fragrances ever made, and so I guess she's wanted to find modern perfumes that fit that kind of aesthetic and visionary perfume making of Germaine Cellier. So here we are. So I think that's about all the blurb to say.
Yeah.
So Eris.
I just want to get smelling these. I'm excited about this. What is the name? Do you know what the name means?
So Eris or Eris. So she is the Greek goddess of troublemaking and disruption.
I know her.
Yeah, I bet you do.
I know her.
Damn it. So, inspired by muses, divine, human and fragrant, that exemplify unconventional beauty and dark subversive glamour. A few more details. So, founded in 2016, they now have 7 fragrances, all are $150 for 50 ml EDP, with the exception of Mxxx, which is $225 for 50 ml X-Stray. So,
well, I've not smelled them yet, but that seems sort of reasonable.
Yeah.
Nothing that's going to make you vomit.
Yeah, kind of reasonable kind of niche prices. So the first, in 2016, there were 3 fragrances released from the Beauty and the Beast collection. So let's stop the chat and start with some of those.
Let's dive in.
As I said,
have you smelled these yet, or is this first?
Yes, I've worn these, and I've actually made. I often make notes, and I've got pages and pages of notes.
You've typed them up.
Yeah,
this is professional.
So what I've started doing is actually make notes on my phone. I keep like voice memos, so I'm walking around wearing them or on the trainer in the car or whatever. I kind of voice memos.
Like Alan Partridge, you know, idea for programme, monkey tennis.
I mean, sadly, exactly like that.
And something much cooler than that, of course.
But now I type them up. So here we are, Belle De Jour. So this was inspired by a film of the same name. A few of these, I don't know if it's all of them, but certainly quite a few of these are inspired by films. This is the 1967 film of the same name, Belle De Jour, with what's her name, Catherine Deneuve. Let me do another one. I'll give you this one. I'm going to give myself another.
Thanks, mate.
So as I said, I have worn these a fair bit. I've got a couple of wearings out each of them, and you're going to get Joe's first impressions.
First impression, I like it. Interesting. I'm getting sort of light, oily citrus. That lovely note, and I've never understood what it might be in a perfume, but that lovely note of slightly new carpet.
Interesting, yeah. It's
I never know what that is.
So I've only tried this on skin. I'm trying it on card for the first time. So this smells a little bit different to when I got it on skin. When I tried it on skin, the first impression I got was of this kind of white floral bouquet. On skin, I see what you mean. It feels a little bit oilier, and there's almost a kind of green oiliness.
I don't get the big floral thing so much on
really,
card.
the first thing I've written here is white floral cocktail opening, which I got. Orange blossom I got. Whereas on card it smells a little bit more kind of neroli-y.
Yeah, I get a kind of oily, orangey, neroli, something quite closed. Not to suggest that doesn't have a sort of a burst about it, but it's quite tight. It's not. It's holding its cards close to its chest a little bit.
I definitely found
quite straight
on skin. It felt there was a little bit more kind of bloom and more openness, but even though there was this kind of floral quality, I got this also slightly green, oily, bitter quality, and also a wetness. Can you get an impression of wetness?
Yeah, maybe like a sort of slightly damp herby patch in a garden.
There's a
gentle bit of edge to it, like a little, like some mild kind of coriander, basil, something like that definitely. In the very, very distant background. It's not massively herbaceous, but
there is a little bit of
hint
herbaceous.
Of something.
So I didn't realise, I didn't get this straight away, but I think this is described as a sort of floral aquatic. And I think when I plant those words, I think you could then get this slight maritime kind of seaside, maybe some kind of salty herbaceousness.
Yeah, and some salty, wet rock with some mossy stuff growing. I like it. It doesn't. On card, it doesn't rock my world completely, but I like it. I feel it's very clean and very well done and very clear.
It's interesting you say clean. I think it's very clear. I think it's very elegant, very kind of
clean as in the lines are clean. I don't mean as in fresh,
not
but I mean
dirty, yeah. Because I actually found on
it's legible. I find it very legible.
Yeah, it feels I think elegant and well kind of constructed. Yeah. Even though I felt on first, it's not. I enjoyed it, but it didn't necessarily feel revolutionary.
No.
But I felt about 45 minutes or so, there was something a little bit dirty which starts to kick in. And I think you can get the merest glimmers of it now. There's a slight toasted spice thing, which I think runs as a theme through this collection. So it starts off this quite polite, gently floral, real kind of herbaceous, kind of like slight seaside herbaceousness, with a bit of spice which starts to creep in after a while.
I mean already it's beginning to get a little bit more edgy, and it's getting a little bit more salty, minerally, something.
Definitely.
A little dirtiness, a little hit, like a drop of cumin-y something. Not cumin necessarily, but.
And I think if you
there's an edge.
And I found, I think the floral quality comes in more on skin, which I don't think I'm getting on card. I was actually a bit surprised this went on card. But I also get, I think you can get an ever so slight seaweed quality.
Yeah, absolutely. Sort of dank, salty, dry. Yeah.
And I found, as I say,
minty as well. Actually, little hints of like sort of very dark peppermint occasionally popping out.
Yeah, I would go with peppermint.
Just little dashes.
This is quite a kind of a herbaceous quality. I mean, it's not quite what you expect from the name.
No, I would have expected something more opulent and floral and,
Yeah,
and
it's
smiling
definitely not.
and
I mean, I do think
feather boas and
yeah, there are floral qualities, but it's definitely not. I think throughout this collection, there is a play on what you might expect.
yeah.
All the names, kind of Belle De Jour, you might think of something pretty and bright and flowery, and it's actually a bit more subversive. There are other qualities to it. I found this weirdly energetic.
Uh-huh.
I think I've actually read it in bold here. To wear it, it felt quite lively and energetic, which is maybe not what you would infer from the notes we are describing.
But yeah, I mean, I'd need to see it on skin, try it on skin and see. I can get that though. I mean, it's definitely definitely got some energy to it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not rocking my world though. I have to say, it's perfectly pleasant, and I do like it.
I don't think it is.
It's meant to rock your world.
I think it might not be the last time I say it in this collection. It doesn't necessarily rock my world. I think it's very well executed. I could see myself wearing it,
Yeah,
but not necessarily buying it.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if I put it on and I sort of wore it for a day, I'd say lovely, enjoying that.
Yeah,
I'm not going out of my way to get that.
That is.
But then, you know, who cares what I think? It's not. We're not reviewing. We're just chatting.
So
I like it though. I think it's nicely done.
Carrying on the Beauty and the Beast series with Bête, My Beast.
How grey my hair is. Sorry. I'm not looking at the camera, but you're right there, so I had to check. Beauty and the Beast. Okay, this is us.
My Bête. My.
You're the Beauty. Of course.
This is My Beast.
Well,
this is one I didn't even write any notes on this because I think it made such a.
Now that's instantly sort of grabbing me.
Yeah.
By the beast.
Grabbing you by the beasts. So this is another a film.
Wow.
Le Belle et la Bête, The Beauty and the Beast. This is a Greta Garbo film, and this is for me, you know, for the whole collection. This was the kind of standout that's really arresting. It's massively familiar, and you smell it, and I instantly think Kouros is my reference point.
Yeah,
it's kind of Kouros with a little bit more kind of like light and shade and refinement, possibly.
It almost reminds me a little bit of like a combination of Kouros with a sort of much tamer version of something like Russian Oud with that slightly chocolatey.
Chocolatey, all right.
I get a sort of slightly chocolatey white chocolate spice.
I definitely
like a
get
spice-ridden white chocolate creaminess.
I definitely get spice, and I think this kind of dry spice, hint of cumin with a bit of coriander seed, this dry spice and nutmeg runs through all of these fragrances.
I can imagine it being quite suede-y, like a sort of Abbey Rouge EDP.
Maybe
like a bit of sort of suede-y Orisy background.
I felt this is more. This kind of had that slightly kind of leather herbaceousy. So like somewhere in between like Derby and Kouros, it felt really kind of classic, kind of late 80s animalic.
Yeah, it really does. It's actually really good.
And
it's really good.
I loved wearing it on skin. It's
very sexy actually.
It's really like mega sexy. And I mean, it's much more. It's got much more growl and bite than the kind of modern Kouros.
It gets better.
It gets, and like on skin, it's even better. It says. I think it says in here. It's kind of got this overdose of his. I can't remember. I can't come that kind of blow. But it has an overdose of this animalic accord. But for me, it just really makes me think that there is a base by an oil company called Cinerone called Animalis, like 1745, which is what is in Kouros. And when you've smelled it, haven't you?
Yeah.
And when you smell it, you think Kouros, and loads of other fragrances, and that's it. I know he says he uses his own base, but it smells very similar to that.
That's really good.
It's really, really, really good.
I like that a lot.
And I get the same. So this spice in this, which I don't necessarily get in Kouros, just gives me this like feeling of heat.
Yeah. Like saffron-y, cumin-y.
I think it's not. I just think it's this dry, like freshly toasted, like you're making a spice mix for a kind of curry or something like that, and you kind of. So it's pepper, it's cumin, it's coriander seed, all kind of toasted together, and then you grind up. and it's just got that bright, almost like white heat, searing, energetic quality.
Totally get that.
And I really found that when I wore it. There's a bit of kind of oily neroli. Can you get oily neroli as well? But it's kind of dirty.
There's something kind of friendly and approachable in the top still. I'm still getting, like, I guess it could be a sort of very oily citrus orange.
But I mean, it just reminded me how much I
like
love this.
Sort of slightly dusty patchouli edge as well.
Yeah, there definitely is that. Again, which is, I think that harkens back to that kind of 80s masculine, that patchouli base.
Do you not get a hint of the sort of Russian oud and Arige, that just a very passing nod in terms of the animalic aspect of it?
Possibly, yeah. I just think of that as very chocolatey labdanum-y, which I don't really get the chocolatey labdanum-y.
God.
But certainly the animalic warmth of this. And I have to say this lasted a very long time, and like even the next day I felt it on my skin, and it actually became more animalic. There was almost a kind of hyraxy dry down. So I kind of wore it for a kind of long time, and I thought that's great, it's subsiding. And then suddenly everything else went away, and I had this big kind of like filthy purr.
Yeah, totally. Animalic hum. But I love that. I really love that. I mean, I have to say, when I go back and smell, that's very nice, but that's something that I could wear as a sort of easy reach that is something a bit different. This is just another level.
Yeah. It's absolutely...
Yeah. I mean, I've still got a bottle of Kuros, and I enjoy it sometimes. And I've got a bottle now of L by Arquiste, which is very good, a very good animalic fougere. This is another level again. This is more animalic. I think
it's the combination with that kind of dry spice, which just, it smells hot. It smells like white heat.
It's very sensual though.
It's really sensual, and where you wear it on skin, I just kept getting this feeling of kind of heat. I tried it on a few hot days, and it's a bit much for that. But certainly in the winter, it's just like this beast living on you. Absolutely.
Oh,
loved it.
Before we leave the organ off today, I'm going to buy a bottle of that.
It's awesome, isn't it?
Do they have a stockist in London, or is it just online, do you think?
Well, I mean, they have a shop in the UK now.
Where?
Sainte Cellier, the one we just mentioned.
No, but is it somewhere you can go to?
No, you have to order it online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I like to go to a shop sometimes and have a little browse.
Yeah. Well, maybe
but
one day.
I will order it.
Right.
That's really good. That's my favourite so far.
So this is night flower. So when we hear night flower, we possibly think, night blooming jasmine or gardenia as a night flower. It's also a term for...
Or just baking late.
Yeah, sure, without a W. But it's also a term for a prostitute. See, again, like you say night flower and you expect, as I said, a big jasmine, but actually I think you get spice.
Yeah, I don't get a big sort of floral opening especially.
You get cinnamon and cardamom.
Cherry spice.
Yeah, there's a kind of sweetness, isn't there? But I definitely got cardamom, cinnamon. I got mostly cinnamon with a bit of cardamom and maybe a bit of nutmeg as well. This is, as I said, I feel the theme running through.
It's got a nice, fresh 90s fougere thing going on there.
A little bit, yeah.
Reminds me, I'm not a million miles away from something like Gucci Envy.
Okay, yeah. It doesn't have quite the kind of green smile that has.
No.
But in terms of the spice, the kind of cardamom spice, yeah.
You have a little relationship there?
Yeah, I do actually, yeah. Yeah, I do. I also,
I really like that.
Yeah, it's good. And when I put it on skin, again, like it's playing with your idea. You see night flower and you expect kind of juicy white florals, and it's not really that at all. I then, on skin, I definitely got some birch. Some kind of a slightly kind of leathery birch, which took it went into kind of a slightly leathery direction, but not quite animalic. So
this is way less animalic than the last. There's still hints of something funky going on. But
so yeah, I think in this, this is much more cuddly. I feel from the beginning, even from this stage, and even on card, I think you get it more so on skin. There's this feeling of a kind of a cuddly musk.
Yeah.
Like Galaxolide or something like that. One of those soft, fluffy musks. So it's not the kind of dirty funk we got with Bête there's something much more soft and cuddly. And
it's very friendly. It's very approachable.
yeah, it is. And I would say almost no flowers at all in the opening.
Doesn't seem floral. I mean, the big thing I get is a sort of ginger nutmeg.
Yeah. Cinnamon.
I get a big reminder of Gucci Envy here.
Yeah, I can see that.
I can't help it, but it really takes me
Isn't
back.
it weird? It definitely feels nostalgic.
And your florist Santal, that slight sweetness that you get.
Yeah.
It's not the same, but it reminds me.
It's interesting. It feels kind of vintage, but it's not. It's almost like a 21st century vintage, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like.
Yeah, it's not
noughties,
dated. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't feel like a sort of just a throwback. It does have its own place now.
I did when I wore it on skin. I got a hint of kind of tuberose, but it never became kind of overtly floral. It really is about this kind of gentle spice with this soft, cuddly musk. Then the more I wore it, the more coumarinic I felt it became. It became really about coumarin and musk, providing this kind of like creamy, slight sweet kind of hay underpinning, which really went with the kind of fluffy white musk.
So did that not excite you as much?
Well, no, I do quite like. I like coumarin and white musk. I think they kind of work really nicely together.
I mean, if this is just what I'm getting on card, I really like it.
Yeah.
A little bit of Jaipur put on as well.
Definitely. It really took me back to that kind of late, like the turn of the century.
Yeah,
totally. And it's very elegantly put together, and it's just it's kind of this round bubble, this soft, cozy bubble of white musk with cumin and just peppered with bits of spice. Without being, it's not funky musk, it's not overly sweet cumin, it's not overly spicy.
No, everything is just in a gentle balance, isn't it? I think more and more that's something I like in life, is when things are just balanced. Everything has an opposite, and you know what I mean. Nothing feels like it's dominating.
I hadn't got envy, but I didn't think that when I wore it. But now I definitely get
more and more. It's taking me.
We're talking about the envy for men.
Maybe it's that slight nutmeggy ginger fougere thing.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's the power of the imagination, but it's taking me more and more back.
I think you're right, and certainly the coumarin is giving that kind of fougere, even though it's not lavender oil. It's giving you that coumarin, isn't it?
I have to say, I'm a fan of that. Is that the X-ray? No.
No. That's the EDP.
Uh-huh.
So
very good. I'm really impressed so far, I have to say.
Let's try this again. Right. The next two are Mxxx and Mxxx.
Now that's going to confuse people, isn't it?
Well, so Mxxx is it's a gender-neutral title. So as opposed to Mr. or Ms. So Mxxx is in the title, which in non-gender, and it's something which has been around for decades actually. So obviously it's a gender-neutral fragrance. So Mxxx came out in 2017, and then 2 years later they released this Mxxx, which is this X-ray version, which has 7% natural ambergris and hyraceum basically added to it.
Okay, so it's the X-ray of Mxxx.
Yeah, sort of, and it's difficult. So when I tried this, I tried both of the fragrances together.
Yeah. On
each hand.
Was that an error?
Well, I don't know. So do you want to do that now, or do you want to just try one and then the other?
Well, I've got stuff on this hand, so that's not a good example. But between us, we've definitely got enough hands.
Well, we can just do.
Let's do cards first, and then see if we need to go on skin.
Yeah. Do you want to try both?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
I'm curious.
I mean, I found it kind of impossible not to compare the two. So I tell you what. Let's do Mxxx first. Let me just check I've got the right one. So this is Mxxx, which is the 2017 EDP.
God, I was just a boy then.
So put those in your left hand.
Left hand.
And then I'll spray Mxxx, which is the more expensive X-ray with the ambergris and hyraceum. I said I've tried these a bit, so there you go.
Thank you.
Now I'll take one of each. So, Mxxx. So, again, this is basically about this dry spice. But unlike all the others, I feel this fragrance is almost just the dry spice.
This puts me in mind of a kind of Mark Buxton, incensey, woodsy sphere. Comme des Garçons.
Yeah. So it's this kind of like cedary, peppery, non-limbanoy, dry woods.
Yeah. I like it. It's familiar. I do like it though.
But isn't it? It's.
I think
given what
we've
you've
been there
said.
and done that though.
Also, I feel it's massively masculine.
I mean, it's very stereotypical. If you said make me a very masculine thing, I'd do big cedar woody.
Yeah.
Woodsy.
So, I feel it's quite. Yeah.
Maybe that's deliberate though.
Quite typically masculine from about 10, 15 years ago. You know that Comme des Garçons.
Yeah, I mean that feels like Comme des Garçons. You know, there's black pepper and there's the original Comme des Garçons 2. Yeah. In that brown bottle.
I mean
it's very good though, and it's very nice.
It's very good. So it's that kind of dry spice we've been talking about, but here that's been kind of taken further. Where there's definitely kind of incensiness. There's definitely kind of cedariness. So
quite friendly as well.
Ginger as well.
Yes.
But you don't have. I mean, there's no citrus. There's no floral.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it sort of radiates and blooms initially. It's quite austere.
So if you smell the two together, I really feel
very approachable.
That the Mxxx, you get more of this bright, harsh, dry woods, and that the Mxxx, even at this early stage, even on card, feels rounder.
Yeah. And
more plush.
Yeah, absolutely. As you'd expect, it feels deeper. It feels like a lot of those edges have just been filled in with some sort of nice resinous, soft enveloping.
It feels, aspects. And the more you wear it, it really kind of feels. Well, I think there's a chocolatiness, which comes through, especially on the Mxxx.
That's good, actually.
I also felt the Mxxx. There's quite sandalwoody. There's a kind of like, I don't know if it's Javanol, but there's a slightly modern spiced sandalwood accord. It's difficult. I felt the Mxxx, I could have taken it or left it. The Mxxx has a lot more to it.
I actually really like the Mxxx.
Yeah, I mean
that's really interesting.
The other thing about it is, I know you're smelling on card and we go smell like this, but especially the Mxxx on close, smelling up close, it feels very dense. Whereas when you wear it on skin, it actually feels quite open and kind of diffusive and kind of transparent. Like you really get kind of lots of layers. And I said there's an interplay between spice, warm, cuddly, dry, burnt, and animalic hum.
Yeah, I get the burnt thing much more here. That slight sort of birchy aspect.
And it's difficult. It's
very beautiful as well.
You can't help but compare them. I mean, but when you now come back to the Mxxx, there's something which feels a little bit harsh about that.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, I sort of like it, but I've smelt it before.
Yeah, I feel the Mxxx.
It's not inviting me in for much more.
I feel the Mxxx. Yeah, I mean, I think at this price point, at this stage, this year, I expect something a bit more interesting than the Mxxx.
Yeah, it's not very 2022. I know that sounds like a stupid thing to say, but it does just. If you're harkening back to sort of vintage, great.
Yeah.
But if you're just going back a few years to like the woodsy, pencil shaving-y, peppery
things. Gucci Pour Homme, coming back to another Gucci fragrance. Whereas the XXX has much more nuance. I feel there's a real kind of chocolatey quality to it.
This is like a more friendly cousin of the Bête, I think. It's a sort of
much more friendly. It's different.
It has a sort of gentle animalic.
Yeah,
hum,
there is.
It?
I feel that Bête kind of really showed its cards right up front, whereas this Mxxx there's much more to it. And as I said, we also just smell it on card, but wearing it on skin, it was just an amazing experience all through the day to feel it kind of hanging around you.
I'm looking forward to wearing this on skin. Actually, I really think it's got a lot more to show.
I really did enjoy this a lot. It was really rewarding. I mean, it's just It is how much is it? It's the more expensive one. It's $225 for 50 ml extra, which is not desperately expensive. It's weird. It doesn't quite smell like an X-ray. It doesn't. It's definitely not a big fragrance at all. It's one that kind of just sits around you in a.
But they never have to be big, do they?
Yeah.
It's the way that they just enrich a facet of the original. I think I don't want to wear that on skin. I think I'm missing a lot by not giving it some body heat.
It is. I mean, it's definitely.
I find that quite addictive and quite seductive.
Yeah, it is. It's really, really good, and I really, really enjoyed wearing it.
Wow.
Should we move on to something completely different?
They're really good.
So
I'm impressed with this so far.
This is very different. Different to all the ones we've tried so far. This is Green Spell. So this was released 2021. Let me see what you think about this.
Thank you.
We're in a very different place. So Green Spell, I expected something dark. I don't know, just the name. I expected something dark and kind of witchy almost.
Yeah.
Whereas it's kind of the opposite. It's feel very modern.
Quite photorealistic.
Quite happy and uplifting.
Yeah. Not a million miles away from some things I've smelt.
The one
it's familiar to me.
Synthetic
Jungle. Yeah, absolutely.
Which we did a review of. But I love it's, and I think
chewy.
On card it smells a little bit harsh, whereas on skin it felt a little bit more natural. I mean, obviously these kind of bright green accords are going to be kind of synthetic accords.
Yeah.
But there was. It's very uplifting. There's a lovely galbanum-y, bitter quality, and we expect galbanum I often find in kind of like vintage green sheep, whereas here is the galbanum seems to kind of draw it into a more modern. I feel this feels quite modern.
It does. It's modern. It's approachable. It's very kind of, I think, very respectful of this genre. So it's not trying to be too retro.
Tomato leaf?
Bit of tomato leaf, yeah. A bit of Granny's greenhouse.
Which is, I'm still looking for, tomato leaf is one of my favourite.
But do you want to smell like tomato leaf?
Oh, well, I think that's the problem. I keep thinking of it as one of my fondest memories of tomato leaf and vines. And then I always smell it in fragrances and think, it doesn't quite live up to my memories of it. It's quite ambroxany as well, I think, which kind of gives it that modern feel that we're kind of describing. This kind of it fills in the gaps of those bitter green notes.
I don't find it so bitter. I find a slight hint of spearmint sweetness, just a tiny hint.
You get figgy notes as well.
Yeah, very watery sort of figgy. I mean, I know they don't smell anything, but
Stemoni.
If Philosopos and Synthetic Jungle had a baby, you might get something.
Yeah.
In this territory, not so creamy. It's quite astringent green.
Shall I read the description? We all know what a beautiful spring day feels like. In Green Spell, perfumer Antoine Lee has conjured up, as if by magic, the greenest notes in perfumery to create an elixir that will lift your spirits and transport you through scent to that joyous place. Green Spell by Eris is a blast of happiness, a homage to nature that is sparkling and joyful. Which is, I've written here, effervescent, almost like champagne. Do you get a fizziness to it?
Yeah.
It's bright and uplifting and fizzy.
Or like all the herbs and mint in a nice mojito.
Yeah.
But all that sort of that effervescence underneath.
I've also put some of the other fragrances, like Mxxx and Mxxx, felt like they were mid and base. This almost feels like it's all top.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what this does on skin. I can't imagine where this goes after this, apart from falling apart.
No, I don't think it falls apart. So I said, so on skin, there was a great feeling of transparency, and it felt like being a garden. It reminded me, as well as a Synthetic Jungle, of some of the Jardin range from Hermès.
Oh yeah.
Jardin sur le Nil and that sort of thing. The sharpness of tomato leaf started to recede, and then you started to get some purpley notes, some kind of violety notes. And I quite like that feeling of the kind of journey through the garden, through the jungle, from the vegetable patch, maybe to the floral patch.
Yeah.
And I said, and then I ran, I can't really talk about Dry Down because there is a mum. 2 hours in and there's almost nothing left.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. Ephemeral and beautiful. I mean, I think it's more beautiful on skin than it is on card, but it's not a long-lasting fragrance. It's a burst of green happiness and light energy.
One for spritzing.
Yeah, but it's interesting that some of the other fragrances like Mxxx and Mxxx, which really feel mid and base, this is kind of top.
Yeah.
There's some kind of ambroxan, but it's not a heavy woody amber fragrance at all. That kind of goes.
But I find something else as well that, like, you know, if you say something has an apple flavour, it's like that slightly fake flavour of apple that we know as an apple flavour. It actually isn't really apple.
Doesn't actually taste like apple, yeah.
There's a bit of that here with the greenness. It's a bit like a green accord. I've made something that smells like an overarching green impression. I couldn't pinpoint it. It's a slightly...
It smells like green perfume as opposed to green nature.
Yeah. Which I like a lot.
Well, because we're smelling it and thinking, oh, that reminds me of other fragrances as opposed to reminds me of nature.
Yeah. Sort of synthetic in a lovely way, in a kind of, here's an impression of some beautiful green garden scene.
Shall we move on?
I do like that, actually.
So to the last one, Scorpio Rising. So this is not on...
That's my birthday.
This is the 2022 release, and this is inspired by a film. Now, I believe the film it's a short film. I think it's about gay Nazi bikers.
Cool.
I can't give you much more insight than that because I think that was Wikipedia and having watched the trailer on YouTube. But I think the whole film is available on YouTube. So here we are, Scorpio Rising.
Thank you very much. That takes me back to the very first thing we smelt.
Belle De Jour.
Yeah.
But even more so, even more pink. Like it's almost just out and out pink pepper, I think.
Which I don't like. I'm not a pink pepper person.
No, I know. That's one. Pink pepper was one of my danger notes.
Yeah, I find it's a bit molten brown, pink pepper.
Yeah. Well,
and everyone goes, "Oh, this smells so cool."
I'm just going to say, I definitely think. I don't want to cloud your judgment.
It's more interesting than that.
But this was definitely my least favourite fragrance, and I'm really almost. So this feels incredibly familiar. This feels very like what Comme des Garçons did. It goes. There's a kind of leathery, cedary, oily quality to it.
There's something trying to get out though. It's like I'm hearing a little voice trapped behind a door trying to get through. There's an interesting tuberosy bubblegummy thing trying to escape.
Oh really? I didn't.
Do you not get? Can you feel something in the background just lurking, going, "Please let me out. I'm here. I'm here." I can feel it. I don't know what it is.
I mean, for me,
there's something interesting in there. And it's not
there's
coming
this
out.
kind of pink peppery incense top. Then there's some slightly woody, kind of leathery qualities, but there's also just loads of cashmere in this. Which gives you that slightly mouldy, dank. And I mean, I quite like kind of cashmere, but I just found on skin the cashmere became really dominant. And
there's something trying to get out here.
So he mentions a leather accord, which makes up 25% of the formula. But I don't know. I would guess that leather accord is mostly cashmere. I just didn't. Shall I read you the notes? Yeah. Black and pink pepper, clove, cinnamon, cardamom, immortelle, incense, cypriol, cedarwood, garlicwood, saffron, sandalwood, ambroxan, cashmere, and Haitian vetiver leather, which is a concentration of 25% of materials from l'Atelier Française de Matière. I think the result is something which feels very familiar. We've come back to that comparison to what Mxxx and the likes of Comme des Garçons were doing about 15 years ago.
There's something in there that's really interesting me though, and I can't put my finger on it. I'm getting a big haze of stuff that I don't like, but behind it there's just one small voice of something that I feel the balance just, for me, isn't there the way I'd want it. There's something in here behind all of this that's just better. It's really, I can't put my finger on it.
Interesting.
It's like if you had like a really good player in an orchestra,
yeah,
and everyone else was terrible. You could just hear them. You're like, oh, I can hear everyone else. Shut up! I
Well,
just
maybe
hear.
that's something in the leather accord. I mean,
there's something in here which is just not being allowed to sort of shine through.
As I said, it just, to me, it just felt very familiar. Kind of this pink peppery, kind of like bright incense. And then there's this slightly kind of oily, leathery, gasoline-y quality in the middle, and then cashmere underneath, which is fine and nice.
Quite formulaic, though.
But I think at $150 for 50 ml in 2022, I don't think it's quite good enough. That's my opinion.
I'm not a fan. I'm just frustrated by this one because I just think at the beginning I just got a hint of something and it disappeared, and it may have just been my own imagination. But I got something and I felt like something friendly, and I thought, more of that. And it's gone, so I can't even pick up what it was. But overall, I have to say I do like these.
So I
think there's some really great stuff here.
I find it's a really interesting house. I mean, favourite? I mean, for me, it's such an absolute runaway. My favourite.
My favourites are my Bête and Night Flower.
Yeah.
In that order.
My Bête, for me, by a country mile, essentially smelling Belle De Jour. Now, amongst everything else, it smells very kind of aquatic, doesn't it?
Yeah, and not very original. Actually,
no, more aquatic on skin. But yeah, for me, my Bête was an absolute runaway, and that's so good. And I absolutely love it. And if you're a lover of vintage fragrances along the lines of Kouros, but want something a little bit better put together and more animalic than the current version of Kouros and very long lasting, my Bête. That's really freaking awesome. Really I mean, I really think that's going to be my purchase. I really enjoyed wearing Mxxx on skin, and I don't think you're quite getting that full experience. Night Flower I liked a lot as well. Green
Mxxx is really good actually.
You're not quite getting the full experience. It really is good on skin.
I'm enjoying that. The more I smell, what is it? The green jobby. Green spell. The more I just think I smell lots of things like that. That English Leaf by Mitchell and Peach does the same thing. It's just sort of pleasant green, gardeny. And it's it's fine.
It's an interesting collection, you know. When
nice.
These talks of subversion and some of the films which were inspiration. I don't feel that all the fragrances necessarily tie up.
No.
Especially something like Scorpio Rising. It just felt so. I mean, I get the reference to the kind of like the biker gang. I can get that slight oiliness, that slight kind of leatheriness, but it just felt so safe and so 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And there are things.
If you're going to do danger, do something like you've done there with Ma Bête. If you want to do something that's a bit subversive. Yeah, I mean that's for me is the best of the lot. And the night thingy.
Night Flower.
I mean I like that a lot.
Yeah, I
think
and that
good.
again it wears just as I say the way it wears on you. It's interesting. I hadn't thought of the word fougère because the opening feels so different from fougère. But actually, now you say it, that coumarin-y, musky feeling does give you that fougère kind of feel.
And the little bits of
and the
spices
Gucci Envy
playing.
reference as well. I hadn't really clocked that, but now I definitely get it.
Oh, I really like
it's good actually, isn't it?
I think they're very good. Yeah, I mean, see, the more I smell that, the more I could see myself buying a bottle of that as well. But they're good value. I could just get a couple. Anyway, you don't want to know about my shopping list, but they're very good. I think a good collection there, I have to say.
Yeah, so some interesting things, some kind of ups and downs, but I enjoyed exploring them. So let us know if you've tried them and if you've got any favourites, and if you completely disagree with us. It's always interesting to hear.
Yeah, I mean, we like to shake it up a bit, don't we?
Yeah, but until next time.
Bye.
Happy sniffing.